Well, somebody's in here, it looks like. Whoever's in here, can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you can you talk? Can you hear that? I want to lower this thing a little bit. It's giving me a neck ache. There. That's better. Hello, hello, hello. I'm waiting to see if anybody else shows up. Maybe we can at least have 2 or 3 people in here. Have a big, juicy talk about Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Are they real? Or what are they? Sorry, I keep looking over here because I got my laptop so I can read the chat easier. But there's no chat right now, so yeah. Well, I've only done a few of these live things, and trying to see if I can do more of them. But my last one a couple of weeks ago, I did have a few people in there, 2 or 3 that stayed pretty much the whole time. Well, whoever's in here, can you say anything? Just something to say that you could hear me or whatever. Trying to wait to see if YouTube will actually, put this out, whatever, whatever they do, to get other people to come see it, whatever. Their algorithm, whatever you want to call it. They gotta hey, what's going on here? What's this dude doing? He's talking now about Bigfoot. What do we do with him? Like, this guy must be crazy. He goes from painting in one video to talking about Bigfoot. I've got another person in here. Who could it be? I'm trying to see if I can get other people. Whoever this is, I'm trying to see if any other people will show up. So we can have a wonderful discussion about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Moo Moo, whatever you want to call it. Swamp monsters, ape beast. Well, that person left, so or one of them did. I'm not sure who it was, but if there's somebody else there, please say something so I can know if this thing's working or not. I don't want to be sitting here talking to myself for the last 10 minutes. I mean, I got it on my laptop. It shows it's working on my laptop, so let me turn the volume up, see if I can hear myself. Yeah. Okay, I can hear myself. I seen something pop up, but couldn't tell who it was. It went away. What's wrong with this thing? Couldn't even tell who it was. If whoever said something, please say it again so I can see what you said, because it ain't showing up on my chat thing here. It showed up like for a blimp, and then it just disappeared. So I don't know what that was. Hello, hello, hello. There's a person in here. Another person. Can you hear me? Is this stupid thing working? Now they're going. This is fun, man. This is exciting. Guess I'll just keep rambling about nothing because I don't want to be talking Bigfoot and miss something important. Some important discussion about what is it? Is it real? Is it what kind of creature is this thing? Key creatures deep in the jungles, deep in the swamps, deep. Everywhere they're deep. They're everywhere. Bigfoots are everywhere. They live everywhere. They're in every state. They're everywhere. They're all around us. They surround us. They're in the urban jungle. Oh God. Well, I don't know whether just to sit here and talk to myself or wait and see if anybody else shows up and actually sticks around. Maybe they're like, "What are you doing? This is boring." I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to talk to just nobody, so I want to like at least have a couple of people to talk to. I want to see what y'all think. What do y'all think? That's what I mainly want to see. What if y'all have any stories or sightings or what y'all think? What do you think it is? What's your opinion? Is it nothing? Is it just blob squatches, and whatever? I have kind of my opinions on it. I'm pretty open minded about all of it, but I've been interested in it pretty much since I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. I actually seen it on went to a movie and they played the Patterson Gimlin film. It was like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes long talking about it. I was like, what the hey, this is cool, you know. Ever since then, I've been kind of always interested in it. Actually, I'm interested in kind of all the cryptids kind of stuff, you know. A lot of them I know are just bull crap, but some of them may be real. I mean, if you, even if it's just 1/2 of 1%, you know, it can't be explained, or if that. I find it hard to believe that, you know, every single person that's has made it up or seen a stump or whatever, you know. I find that hard to believe. So, but yeah, well, waiting, waiting, see if anybody shows up. I got a thumbs up from somebody. I don't know who, but nobody ever said nothing. So I don't know. Maybe this is a bad time. Maybe I needed to wait till like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I don't know. Is there something on TV tonight? It's Saturday night. I guess probably a lot of people are out doing something on Saturday night. So I don't know. But that can't be the whole world, you know. The whole world ain't out on a date. I know I ain't. Instead, I'm sitting here hoping to talk about the strange creatures living amongst us in the wild, the Bigfoots, the Sasquatches, the yard ape, the whatever, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I've been on here for 17 minutes and ain't said. Well, I've been talking, but nobody's saying nothing to me. So, has anybody got any vocal cords or can type? Anybody? 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 Somebody say something. Let's get this show on the road. There's something. Oh, hey man, the guy. Yeah, that was you from painting last time. Why isn't it showing up on my alert? Wait there. Wait, hang on a second. There it is. Oh, I didn't have it rolled up here. Wounded. Well, Woozy Moose. It used to be Wounded Moose, I believe. Uh, Glad to see you if you're still here. And Roo, Reggie, whatever, however you say that. Yeah, you were in here with my painting deal. Well, this time we're going to talk about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever you want to call it. Wherever you're from, I don't know. You probably have your own version of it. Just about every country does, wherever. But I'm just trying to find out, you know, what y'all think, or what do y'all think? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it just nothing? Is it blob squatch? You know, anybody's opinion. You know, I'm pretty open on it. I kind of just want to see. I've been, like I was talking earlier. I think I was talking to nobody, but I've kind of been interested in this pretty much my whole life. You know, wondering what it was, kind of researching, watching stuff. Bigfoot is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I think Bigfoot's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool thing. You know, the idea of it. You know, like that show where they try to Finding Bigfoot. There's been several shows. Uh, Finding Bigfoot, they play it all the time now on Pluto, but it's like comes on all the time. But some of the stuff they did was, kind of strange. But and they never really found nothing. Just knocks and whatever. But they hear something in the woods go crash, and they're like, "Oh, a Bigfoot's throwing something." like a tree never or a limb never falls. I have 2 trees in my yard, and literally every day, probably 5 limbs fall off. I ain't kidding you. So you're out in the middle of the woods, and you're gonna hear crap crashing and falling, and it ain't Bigfoot probably 99.99% of the time. But yeah, they had several. They had one that was really cornball, mountain monsters or something. I mean, that was ridiculous. That show was. Some of it was kind of funny, but it was pretty out there. Uh, but I've watched a lot of other shows. I mean, there's been some other shows that they're more scientific about things. That's the ones I really like to watch, where they're actually, it's not just a show about you know getting out there and pretending to do things and anything. Do I think Bigfoot would be nice or mean if I ever met him? Uh, well, there's not a whole lot of reports of them being mean, I guess, but I mean, people see them and they mostly time just run or hide or whatever. Uh, but I mean, there supposedly was some reports where they years ago where they I don't know threw rocks and stuff. But some people say they throw rocks and stuff like that. But you know they're just trying to get you out of there, probably try to scare you off or something. If they're really an animal, which I I kind of believe that I think they're probably real, but not in the sense that we can imagine that they're real. I mean, like, we see a bear and we know, okay, it's a bear. We know what a bear could do or whatever. This may be something totally different because we don't know everything about every kind of living thing there is, even if it's just an animal here. I mean, I'm always thinking, of the other dimension thing. It comes in and out of the dimensions. It could be maybe a space traveler that they put on here. I don't know, or it's just something we can't understand that it has a way of cloaking itself or being able to almost like a chameleon, being able to hide, basically kind of disappear in the background or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of things like that I kind of would wonder. Like, I mean, like I said, I figure, probably most sightings that people say they're sightings, probably the majority of them are just people seeing crap out in the woods in the middle of the night or dark or at dusk or whatever. I know your eyes can play tricks on you and stuff like that. But like I said, even if it's just a half of 1% that are real, well, you got to say they're real, because you can't explain it, and so it's possible it's something. It wants to mind its own business. It wants to be left alone. Which one? Sometimes he's a solo guy. Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. About people want to think of a Bigfoot or whatever is like a regular animal. With a certain lifespan. So they think, oh, there's got to be a breeding population of them for this area or whatever. And a breeding population would be like hundreds or thousands of them or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that I was looking up. There's a tree, that's the oldest tree in the world in California, that is like 5,000 years old. It's still a living tree. There's other trees, and then there was the oldest living thing was a mollusk or something like that. Well, I forgot how old it was, 250 years old or something. They estimated something like that. They read it's something like there's rings on it or something. But so I mean, if Bigfoot, we think of it, oh, it can only live 70 or 80 years like a human, uh, and I don't know if that's the case. It could be maybe it lives 1,000 years, and if it lives 1,000 years, maybe there doesn't have to be a huge breeding population. Maybe they've been pretty much extinct, other than what's left. I don't know, and that may be what people see. I don't know, and you just don't really know till you find one or whatever, catch one or whatever. But there's been some interesting evidence. I mean the whole footprint thing. I mean I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeff Meldrum. He's he studies anatomy of animals or something like that. I can't remember where. He's like out in Idaho or somewhere, but he's real big in the footprints and stuff, and being able to tell one that's a fake against something that he believes is real, whatever. And what they find on them is it'll be hard to fake. Somebody when somebody finds like one print out on a beach, and there's just one print. Well, I like how did it just land there, put one foot down, and jump off? I mean, that's kind of stupid. But if you actually find like a trackway, and if you're able to, most animals, if it's a real animal, you're going to be able to more or less be able to. You may not be able to actually see perfect tracks, but you may see. Oh, I can tell where it stepped here. I can see where it broke this, where it stepped. You can see. You may not be able to get a cast print of it or whatever, but so there may only be one spot where you have that. But you'll be able to go up and it's like you got a camera with you. Everybody's got a phone with them. Why ain't you filming it? Why don't you take pictures of it as what you think it stepped here and measure it? How far was the distance and all that kind of stuff, And so you can put that down. It's like okay, it was taking this big of a stride. Of course, most people can figure out, how tall something was by the stride of it. If you're taking, most humans take I think around a 2-foot stride, something like that, if they're just walking. And most people ain't going to be able to run barefoot over sticks and rocks and, all kinds of junk like that, so they wouldn't be running. They may be trying to gingerly walk, and that would leave them with, 2-foot stride. Now, if this thing had a 4-foot stride in between it, it's either running through the woods, and ain't no human probably can do that, but you got to have some really tough feet. Yeah, but I tend to believe it's probably something that people are seeing. I just don't know if our minds can comprehend what it is. It's almost like a ghost or something, We supposedly see them, and they supposedly have evidence. They get through your recordings and stuff like that. I like to listen to a lot of ghost hunters, and yeah, he probably would. If one of them's 8 to 10 foot tall, yeah, I think you wouldn't even have to. He wouldn't even have to jump or just stand there and just stick the ball. Just go up there and dunk the ball like this. He'd be as tall as the goal, and so yeah, it would. They'd probably make a good basketball player, probably a good football player. Here you got a 500 to 800 pound creature. Put him on the line, man. Do some blocking. Protect the quarterback. Yeah, they'd probably be good in a lot of sports. I remember there was a movie that had Michael J. Fox on it, where he played, where he turned into a werewolf. Some with his family or something like that, but he would turn into a werewolf, and he was a great basketball player. They were winning all those games and stuff like that. But basically he was a werewolf. So he was like a super nice werewolf. He didn't like bite people or nothing. But yeah, it was. I can't remember what the name of that movie was, but it was back in like the '80s or something. Michael J. Fox. Some kind of werewolf thing. I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, well, as far as their language or whatever, they supposedly, there's some recordings and stuff. I was just watching this last night they were talking about it. There's some recording. Oh, I know where it was. I was watching this. I don't know if you ever heard of him. You might check him out. his channel's called Thinker Thunker, and he analyzes a lot of this stuff, and he's got his own way of, and it's pretty interesting. And it's almost like he calls it proportional DNA is what he calls it, and basically he takes like pictures or photos or video or whatever, supposedly a Bigfoot, and he can he'll measure, like he'll get, say he can see part of their body like their arm or leg or whatever it is, and he'll measure it from, say, where their hip is down to their kneecap, and then from the kneecap down to their ankle, and he gets the measurement there, and then he can compare it to like what humans are, and he's literally taken, I don't know how many, like humans, basketball players, it don't matter who it is, we all have basically the same proportions of our bodies, just within an inch or two or whatever, our arms are basically the same kind of length, and Bigfoot, you can put it up against with Bigfoot, and it's a big difference, 30 to 40% difference in like how their legs are and stuff like that. And it'd be hard to like fake that, where like putting on a suit or whatever, especially you couldn't. It'd be really hard to change that where your arms and stuff bend in a suit, Otherwise, the suit would just be flopping around. If you try to make it like that, it'll be hard to do. And but yeah, the one at his latest video, he was there were some sounds, some howls or whatever, and he was analyzing. He has a spectrum thing or whatever, and he was analyzing the how when they whoop whatever, and then they compare it to like what a human does, and he did it. And another guy, the guy that actually recorded some of this like 40 years ago or something. I think they call it the Sierra Sounds or something like that. You can look it up, but where they recorded them, and then you could actually, some of it where you can hear them kind of like doing gibberish, kind of like, and that's what I've heard other people say they do. They're like, kind of like, ooh, like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird, kind of like a weird thing, but they like almost like they're talking to people, like two people, but you can't understand it, because it's some weird talk. But he was showing that, how, and it's way different, between what a human can put out compared to what this is. Now, some people were saying in the comments about it being, well, you were recording this in a studio, whereas they were recording out in the woods, so you're going to have a reverberation, bouncing off trees and stuff like that. So it's going to sound different, and that's probably true. So I wish they would do it where they did humans out in the woods or whatever, or maybe in the same area, and do it kind of their sound and see how different it is then. But it's so drastically different that I find it hard to believe that it's not coming from something else that we don't know what it is, And I've seen this a lot on a lot of stuff where they look at the analyze the sound of the howl they do or whatever, and they try to compare it like to a wolf or a fox or a coyote, whatever, all kinds of different animals, and it doesn't match. So like humans or whatever, and we have a tendency when we howl like that, it kind of goes up. He was showing how it kind of goes up and down, different wavelengths on it or whatever. And whereas a Sasquatch or Bigfoot sound, suppose, is more of a kind of just a steady sound, and sometimes it has like almost like two tones coming from it, like it's almost like it's got two sets of vocal cords. And I've read something about there's some animals that do have two sets of vocal cords, and are there different types of like different breeds, or is there one type? Yeah, I mean, apparently, but as far as being different types, I mean, different countries have different things. They're all kind of the same. I mean, basically, a hairy man thing walks on 2 feet or whatever, and but sometimes the size is different. Or it's like here in Louisiana where I'm at, or like Florida and stuff. The ones that supposedly down here are shorter usually, and there was one, I don't know if you ever heard of the Falk monster. They made a movie about it, the Falcon monster year back in the 70s or something, you know. And so it's around Texarkana, Arkansas, Falcon, Arkansas, basically. And I think it more had like 3 toes, or but some people think it could be more of a deformity or whatever, you know. Almost like, since if there has become less and less of them, that means they have to do more inbreeding. So when you inbreed more, you have more deformities. So you you can lose digits or gain digits or whatever on your feet or hands or whatever, you know. So I mean, it could be something like that, because I don't believe there's just, some people think, oh, there's just thousands and thousands of these things. Well, I find it hard to believe unless they have some way of really cloaking themselves or disappearing. I don't know, that we can't understand. Uh, but yeah, as far as like different countries, they have like the Yeti kind of looks different. The almost every country, if you look it up, I mean Vietnam, just about every country has their version of a Bigfoot, a wild man, or whatever you want to call it, a wild hairy beast. Australia, I think it's called the Yowie. Of course, just in America, we have, Florida has what they call it. We in Louisiana, they call them some different names, but they're basically all kind of the same thing. Hairy beast that walks on 2 feet. But you gotta leave. All right, man. I appreciate you coming and stopping in. I think you're over in England or something, I believe. I believe you told me last time. But so yeah, it's like 3 a.m. there. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else is listening, but if anybody else is new or coming in here, we're just talking about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever. What you think, or what do what do you want to know about it, or whatever. I mean, I have my stuff I know about it, kind of, over just years of listening to it, or listening to stuff about it, reading stuff about it, whatever. But I've never seen one, never heard one, whatever. I made some videos about it, but stupid, retarded videos, but comedy videos. But yeah, it's so somebody say something. Somebody ask me a question, or what do you think? What do you think Bigfoot is, or Sasquatch, or whatever you want to call it? I don't know if you're in another country, you may have your version, what y'all call something a hairy beast that y'all talk about, that, and tell me what y'all have, or wherever you're at, or whatever, or maybe you're in the United States. And I mean, I know Ohio has, sometimes they call it, I think, the Ohio grassman. Most people think of the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, because that's kind of the big name. It was out west, Oregon, Washington, Northern California, Canada, all that area. And that's basically what they call them most, I believe, out there. Some local places may have different names for them. I don't know, but it's kind of weird. I go back, when you think about what the Native Americans, a lot of, and this is all over the world. They have stuff where they've painted on the walls, and they're hundreds of years old, or they have stories of that go back hundreds of years or thousands of years or whatever. And they talk about, some of the old stories. They talk about they actually were friends with them, and kind of, they knew don't mess with them, but they were there. They knew they were there, and they just kind of left each other alone. And but yeah, a lot of them have that kind of story. A lot of the Native Americans here, have those stories. But so I find it interesting. I mean, even I think it was Teddy Roosevelt. He wrote about a story in a book or something he wrote. Whatever, however many years ago that was, 100 years ago or whatever, and or 100 something years ago, where I think he had talked to somebody, and talked about how they had shot one or something. I don't remember what it was, but there was a talk about that, and I guess he believed in it. You know, a lot of people they say, till you actually see one or whatever, you'll be a believer once you see one or once once you get close to one. So I don't know. I've never seen one or heard one that I know of. But, you know, a lot of animals can make a lot of weird sounds. Different kind of cats can really make some weird sounds. And I even heard it was on one of the Naked and Afraid one time, and they were out there, and there was some. It was a horrible sound. But it wound up being a mating alligator when they make their call. It's kind of a gruntle sound, that they'll make, and it was spooky, man. I'd be scared crapless out there in the swamp with that noise going on, but not knowing what it is. It's like a bobcat, or most all the cats can make kind of like baby sounds, or kind of like a crying woman or a screaming woman, or weird things like that, and so you're out there and you hear that, you're like, okay, what is that screaming at me in the middle of the night? I've never really heard nothing like that, but you know, but even just a hoot. I remember one time I was camping and I heard it was like this. I never heard really an owl that close or whatever, and man, he was like in a tree, like really right outside my door of my tent, and yeah, yeah, it's a Bigfoot shirt. Scooby Doo. How are you doing, Scooby Doo? Yeah, I got this. It was at Walmart. They had them at Walmart. I don't know, a couple months ago. I bought it. I thought, oh man, I gotta have me a Bigfoot shirt. Anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah, if you notice, if you see the painting off my right shoulder, this is what I painted a couple weeks ago. I was just on a live stream painting, oil paint on oil painting, and I decided to put me a little Bigfoot peeking out from around the tree. Yeah, Walmart has everything, man. I swear, you go to that big Walmart. I mean, they just about got everything in that place. I guess if they don't have like lumber and stuff, yes, or but they got a lot of hardware stuff, and you just about can find anything in there just about. But some things you have to go to a specialty place. You ain't gonna buy find a two before there. I don't think I've never seen one, but or a piece of plywood or something. But so there's a lot of stuff they don't have. But man, they do like food wise and stuff. I mean, they got so much crap in that place. The big Walmart. I hardly ever go to the super center much anymore. Every once in a while I go there, but because I have one of them neighborhood ones not too far from me, so that's usually where I go and just buy groceries and stuff. But even that place has a lot of different stuff in there. But a lot of times it's in smaller quantities. But yeah, Bigfoot would probably have a heyday in there. I've seen some people that may kind of resemble Bigfoot in there, so they may be one. I'm not sure. Uh, Anybody want to talk about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever? We can talk about anything. I don't care. But that was supposedly the main gist of this was to talk about what Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or whatever. All people are different breed. Yeah, some people are normal. I think I'm pretty normal going in there, but yeah, I don't see too much of the neighborhood when not too much weird stuff. But the big one I have seen some man some of the clothes that people wear, and I'm like, why are you wearing your underwear? Why are you wearing your underwear here? And sometimes it don't fit real great. I mean, some of them women when they got they shouldn't be wearing leotards or whatever the tights or whatever you want to call them. Sorry, don't wear that, lady. You don't need to be wearing that. Some of it's pretty scary. I think I'd rather go up against a Bigfoot than I would some of these people in Walmart sometimes. Well, we've got 3 people in here. One of these people is me because I'm logged in on my laptop, so that's the reason I keep looking over here to the right because I can. The chat stays up over here. This stays up for like a second and disappears. Apparently. So I have to keep looking over here to see what anybody said most of the time. But yeah, it's so one of those people is me. But anybody got something to say? Spill your beans. Do you have your thoughts on what a Bigfoot is, or do you wherever you live, do you have something that y'all call that? I had some friends in North Carolina, and I forgot what they called it a booger, the booger, like almost like a booger man, but it was they call it the booger, and basically it was a creature that they said don't let your kids go out after dark, whatever, and I believe a lot of times these stories get passed down. It's to scare kids so they don't run off or whatever, like at night or whatever. Like don't go in the woods. There's a booger man out there, or whatever. The kids say, oh, okay, I'm not going to go out there in the woods. It's going to get eaten or whatever. So and those stories get passed down and passed down. It don't matter. Legends like that always get passed down, of course. And you can literally say something to somebody on one side of the street and wait 10 minutes and 3 people later it's a totally different story. Up in Eastern Virginia, we were all about Bigfoot. Yeah, I think most people call it that here in the United States. Basically, it's kind of the same creature, but a lot of special places call it may have a different name for it. That's what I was talking about. Like Ohio, they have what they call an Ohio grass man, I think. And Florida has I can't remember what they call the thing, but Louisiana has some that they call different creatures. Like there's the Falk monster in Falk, Arkansas that people talk about, and it's basically the same thing, but different regions have their different names. It's like in different countries, almost. I mean, when you look it up, just about every country has their version of a hairy beast that walks upright, and they call it different things, but different names. It's not called Bigfoot, but we just got that coin, because originally the American Indians or Native Americans, or whatever, they it was on all their stuff it was a Sasquatch, and so it just got coined Bigfoot because somebody back in the 50s or whatever found some prints and they were big feet, so they're like, oh, and the newspaper were like, oh, it's a Bigfoot, and so I guess that's how that name got stuck, kind of with the same description basically for anything. But supposedly the Bigfoot out west are taller, bigger usually than what the ones in the south are. A lot of times, they're more of a 6 to 7 foot tall one. They're more of a 8 to 9 foot tall ones out west supposedly, and a lot bigger and hairier. But there's all kinds of colorations and all kinds of stuff people say, but and you would have that if it's like a population of them or whatever, but I kind of seem to think that it may not be. People want to think it's that for a breeding population you got to have a lot of them, and but like I was talking earlier that how we don't really know how long one lives. But, I looked up earlier, and there's a tree out in California that's 5,000 years old, a living tree. There's another tree 2,500 years old. I mean, these are trees, but there's people live different ages, different animals or whatever. Sometimes you just don't ever know, but we don't know because maybe a Bigfoot lives 1,000 years. That's just their normal lifespan. I don't know, and so if that's the case, it may only be 20 of them in the whole country. They're just leftovers from 1,000 years ago. Maybe most of them died off 1,000 years ago and or been gradually dying off, and now we're just down to what's left. That's living out their last 1,000 years. But you just never know. When I was a little kid, I was convinced my father was a yeah. When you're a little kid, you think, man, my dad's got, man, he's got big feet, or whatever, My dad, he had these big old hands, And my dad's still alive. He's not going on 96, and that's, outside the realm of most people's lives. Most people, don't make it past their 80s, and especially if they're, still in pretty decent health. Which, I mean, comparatively to being almost 96, yeah, he's in still pretty good health. He's losing his eyesight, and his hearing's crappy, and he's getting more feeble and stuff like that. But he still gets out and does stuff, and knows he's got his mind and everything. It's just so you just never know. But that's a human. I mean, it's like I read where some dog, there was a dog that lived to be 30, 32 human years. Which you figure, I think a dog every year, human, it's like 7 years of dog life or whatever. 1 year of a dog is like 7 years of human or whatever. So I think the dog was like 250 years old or something, and could, for him, he was like 250-year-old dog, but so you just don't know. I mean, and like I said, if 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 this is an animal, just an animal that's, it may only be a small population of them. That's the reason they're very rarely seen. But they, like I said, they may live 1,000 years, and maybe they're not reproducing. It's just whatever's left over, from years ago. Maybe 1,000 years ago there was thousands of them here. I mean, compared to 1,000 years ago there was nothing. There was nothing here, but. And I mean, and if you read about what the Native Americans, they had a lot of supposedly stories and interactions with them and all kinds of stuff. At least they're stories that they passed down. So, and I seem to, I want to believe that. That's one of the things I kind of believe is that they, I mean, I know stories could get, embellished or changed or whatever like that over years and stuff like that, but the bottom line, the bottom of it is probably they were seeing something. It probably was something hairy and walked around on two legs most of the time. And now some of the stuff about them maybe was different, but stories like that just don't carry over for hundreds of years, 1,000 years, especially for people that had nothing to gain. About nowadays, a lot of people have something to gain. They want to get a picture of one or try to get a picture or fake it or whatever for notoriety or, oh, I got my name on the TV or whatever, and but so you don't know, as far as like nowadays. But when you go back hundreds of years or thousands of years and look at stuff, where they engraved them in like cave walls and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, it shows like humanoid people, and all of a sudden it shows a big giant, something walking on 2 feet, in the same group with them or like part of them or whatever, It's like, were they seeing that? Most of the time, when they drew stuff on the walls and stuff, it was stuff from a hunt or there was things that they saw, whatever, and they probably wasn't. They probably did literally think they saw something that big, and maybe they did. I don't know, but it's like nowadays. I mean, maybe a lot of people are, I mean, I do believe, most sightings are probably, just somebody wearing a hoodie or out in the woods or whatever, But, but if you can figure it out if it actually is 8 foot tall, there are very few 8 foot tall people to be walking around in the middle of nowhere barefooted and in snow, and so is it like a regular animal or is it something else, something we can't comprehend yet. our minds can't comprehend because we don't know how to. We don't. Our minds don't know how to put it somewhere. That's why science and discovery stuff. It's always, oh, I see that now. We found something. Oh, that's what that was. And now we put a vision on a picture to that thing, and then we all of a sudden we know. Okay, well, yeah, that's a thing. We haven't been able to do that yet with this, so we don't know if it's really something or not. Uh, but if everybody's interested, I like watching this YouTuber Thinker Thunker. I talked about it a little bit earlier. He does some analysis and stuff on the stuff. It's pretty interesting. He's pretty good on that stuff, and I'm sure there's probably others that do a lot of the same stuff. But he has this thing called proportional DNA that he, about the proportions of it compared to a human, and it's pretty interesting stuff. But so if you think about it, go and watch Thinker Thunker, his channel, and he's been doing it for quite a while, from what I understand. I'm gonna say 10 years or more. I mean, I've been doing YouTube for 8 years, but he has a lot more subscribers than I do. I ain't got that many, but I'm trying to get I started another channel that I was going to have it to where, yeah, Thinker Thunker. Yeah, if you look, type him up. I mean, he has a lot of videos. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, but from what I understand, I've been watching him. I don't know, for the last couple, 2 or 3 years or whatever, his stuff, and I guess it's pretty interesting how he has come up with these stuff, and how he can take the proportions of like a photograph, supposedly a photograph. Of course, most Bigfoot version, except for the Patty film, the Patterson Gimlin film. That's probably about one of the clearest of it. And he can measure, like, say, from the hip down to the knee down to the ankle, different proportions of the arms or whatever, and then put it up against pretty much any human. He's taking, like, weird shaped people or like basketball players or regular size people or whatever, and it doesn't matter who we are. I mean, what size you are as a human. You can be a 7'5" basketball player. Our proportions are basically the same, compared to, say, a 5 foot tall person, and what he shows is the difference in these proportions of, like, the distance of them, and it's not like just a 2 or 3% difference where you can't always see it. I mean, it's quite a bit, 30% or more differences, and it's pretty interesting, But you have to go check him out, and sorry, somebody was texting me. Yeah, he's got a pretty interesting channel and stuff. He apparently he was he's done a lot of that kind of stuff, or I guess his job or whatever. I don't know. He's explained it some. Sometimes talking about how he's done it professionally, whatever. So he's not just some quack job out there just I'm going to do this or whatever. It's pretty pretty factual looking. I mean, you can look at it for yourself. He makes it where you can actually see it for yourself, and, like, oh yeah, you'll drag them over and be like, this is the difference, and, like, you can see it, it's like, yeah, I see that, and it'd be hard to fake that. You can't just put on a monkey suit and be like, have your appendages, 30 or 40% longer, because they wouldn't look right. I mean, just to be flopping around or whatever, and whereas on like the Patterson Gimlin film, if that is true, real, it was either the best suit that somebody paid thousands of dollars for something that I don't think they made any money off of, and from what I understand, there was nothing really of that quality back in. The Planet of the Apes movies were out and around that time, and if you notice on those, you can just, I mean, they first thing, most of them were wearing clothes on Planet of the Apes. They all wearing clothes. the apes were, and so all they had to do was just make fake hands and a head, just uh, to make the Planet of the Apes people, apes or whatever you want to call them. So they and no, and most of them were just the size of a human. There wasn't like great big ones or whatever. There were some that were like orangutan ones or whatever, but they wore clothes too and stuff. So, but with the Patterson Gimlin film, I mean, yeah, you can, experts have looked at it. Nobody's really been able to say that it's fake. It was almost it'd been possible to have faked it. So it was either somebody wearing something and they estimated the thing was approximately, I think, close to 7 foot tall. And it's very few people out there that are 7 foot tall. And that would want to wear a suit. First off, you'd have to have it specially made for you to be able to fit where you can see the muscles moving, stuff like that. And it was also a female. This who would think of that? Having boobs that are swinging around. All right, Scooby man, appreciate you coming in. Have a good night yourself. Yeah, somebody else speak up. I'm getting tired of just talking. I want somebody else to tell me what they think or what their stories are or whatever. Do you have a story? The fifth person that's in here right now, do you have a story about Bigfoot? Did you see one? Did you smell one? There's probably some I've smelled before. That's just water. Anyway, well, I've been on here for over an hour, but I know the first 15 minutes of it, nobody was in here. So somebody else, speak up. What's your thoughts on the Bigfoot Sasquatch situation? Are they real? Are they not? What do you think they are? Do you just think they're just fake? It's just bull crap? Whatever. If it is, if you do, what? I know I've read most people's thoughts on that. There's no proof and stuff like that. But there kind of has been some proof. I mean, it's if you want to believe it was proof or not. I mean, it's so if they supposedly have gotten DNA they can't tell what it is. Of course, the footprints. Some experts say nothing could have made that. Not with a fake print. Something fake didn't make that. And because a human's foot is flat. We don't. Our foot doesn't bend. I mean, our toes bend, but our foot doesn't bend. And on Bigfoot, with the print, so they call it a mid-tarsal break, and it's where in the middle of their foot it flexes. So you got your toes, and then you got your middle of the foot, and then you got your heel. So the middle part moves kind of like your hand does, and ours is flat. We can't, your foot is arched and it doesn't move, except your toes. So they can tell by the print, a lot of times it'll be kicked up and it'll have like a ridge to where when something's walking like that, as it bends, it kicks a little ridge of dirt up, or whatever, and that's where they could call it a mid-tarsal break. But and I think the only other creature, apes do that. Apes have that, but apes don't really. They can walk short. They'll sometimes walk short distances, but they don't have human-looking feet either. Their feet look more like a hand, and whereas a supposedly Bigfoot looks more like a Bigfoot. And I mean, I know a lot of times it can be mixed with a bear. A bear will a lot of times step into their same print, so they'll step the front paw down, and then their back foot will step exactly in their front print in the dirt or mud or whatever. So it makes it look a lot bigger, and it kind of gives it the illusion of a Sasquatch print or whatever. But most experts can tell the difference, but I don't know how, it's like, it'd have to be a really good print because most people are just going to find just a smear on the ground or whatever. It's like go out there and try to walk somewhere, and unless you're, barefooted, and you may, find a spot you can leave a good print, uh, but most times it's going to be eroded pretty quick, or whatever. It's not going to stay there forever, but and there's, like I said, it should always be a trackway of if it's a live animal, unless the animal just comes down out of outer space and lands and then takes back off again. And then you might find just one print, whatever. But if it's something that's actually walking, it's going to leave. You may not find a perfect prints, but just anybody that's been out in the woods again or whatever. How old am I? How old do you think I am? Probably older than what you think I am. I'm gonna let you try to guess. You try to guess, tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you what I am. You better guess high, because I had a lot of people say, they tell me, oh, you're wrong, older. That's what I hear a lot of people say. They say, how old are you? Like 50? Whatever. I'm like, no. I'm almost 65. So, yeah. I'm an old fart. Yeah, 60s. And almost 65, so almost halfway through my 60s. So. And I feel it sometimes, I mean, I've had my issues or whatever. When you start passing that 50 age, man, things start falling apart. Generally, things start happening to you, and ain't much you can do about it. Some people can prolong it a little longer, but some people, I mean, I see some people in their early 40s that look like they're 70. So, uh, but I've never drank, I've never smoked, never did any drugs. I don't know. I kind of put it down to that sometimes, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I've uh, not abused myself too much, other than eating food. Food has been my sin or whatever. But how old are if I ask, how old are you, Scooby? Oh, need to get some more people in here talking. I just got married. I'm around 26 now. Man, 26. That's a long time ago for me, man. 26, just basically starting off. I got married when I was 21, and got divorced when I was 45, and been divorced ever since. And I've been divorced. I never remarried or nothing. Don't want to. Uh, yeah, 26, man. Shoot. I can't even remember what I was doing when I was 26. I remember I was working all the time, pretty much. And I went in business for myself at 28. And before that, I was working for another place. But I had my kid. I had a son at 24. So he would have been 2. And have you had any kids yet? Yeah, most people, man, 26 and you ain't had a kid yet, especially down here where I'm at. But basically for a girl, if she's 18 or 19, she ain't had 3 kids. Yeah, well, you still got a few years you can wait. Enjoy being just the two of you for a while, I guess. Uh, Before you have a kid, probably the best thing. I mean, it was basically 3 years, but for me, uh, and but yeah, you got to eventually start. Maybe I mean, you want to have a few of them little rugrats running around. I only had one, but uh, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, you probably get more settled with your job and that kind of stuff, and before you bring a kid in, and because I mean, a kid changes everything, big time. Uh, can't just be free willing, man, coming and going as you want, man. You got to think about that kid all the time now, and generally you want to, I mean, uh, I guess there's some people that don't care, but yeah, but once you have one, you'll be like, that's the best thing I ever did, for most people. I guess, like I said, there's some people that, oh, that's the worst thing I ever done in my life. I had a kid, rah, 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 you know. And I guess maybe it's how the kid turns out too, maybe, I don't know. But my kid's 40 years old now, so ain't a kid no more, man. But, how many kids y'all thinking about having? You want to have more than one, or of course it's really not up to you too much. It's that female, She may plop out one and be like, "That's the last one I ever. I ain't having no more of them. That's the end of it." But then some of them have it like, "I want to do this 20 times, man." But man, kids nowadays are super expensive. Like, yeah, yeah. Just start off with one. Of course, there's always that possibility two or three of them may pop out at once. I don't. Do you have anybody in your families between the both of you that's ever had twins or anything? Because from what I understand, if there's somebody in your family, it brings up the odds greatly that you'll have you may have twins. I don't know if it has to be more with the female or what, but because I guess there has to be two, or no, I guess a twin is actually from one egg. I think I'm not sure how that works, but a single egg and splits or whatever, but gets fertilized or whatever, and it splits to make identical twins. That's like identical twins. Of course, you can have fraternal for twins, where they're twins. They were born at the same time, but they don't really look alike, don't really act alike too much or whatever. And that may be from two eggs that I don't remember. I don't know how, I can't remember how that works. Don't remember that from biology. That's been a long time ago. But yeah, having at least two is a good idea because then you got at least they have a sibling. I think. Uh, so sometimes I think that's a good idea most of the time. I think sometimes the kid would rather have I don't want no brother or sister, but usually it's probably better if they do, uh, because I had a I had a brother and two sisters, so as I was growing up. But there's it becomes an age difference there and stuff like that too. Because I was toward the younger side, and then I had two older ones. So, and there was several years between us. So I think if you're going to have them, I think it's better to have them pretty close. Within a couple years of each other, probably. That way, there's not a big age difference between your the kids or whatever. Now, if you're going to have 5 of them, there it's going to be a big age difference between the first one that you had and the last one, because you can't have them every 5 minutes, Well, does anybody else want to say something or talk or ask me a question or make a statement about something? Preferably something in the topic area, but I'll talk about anything. I don't really care. But yeah, I just thought I'd get on here and try another one of these live streams. Most of my content, if you go and look at my channel, most of it's more comedy type stuff. I mean, I've kind of done a lot of stuff over 8 years, trying to see what will work or whatever. But from what I understand, that's bad for YouTube's analytics because they don't really know where to put you. But they didn't seem to know where to put me to begin with. So I tried different things, But I started a second channel. I don't know if you're on here. I started a second channel. I want to try to put more of my wildlife stuff, but I couldn't do a live stream on it. I was going to try to do a live stream on it tonight. It's called Cryptid. It's called Critters and Cryptids. Critters and Cryptids. Or it's going to be where I talk about different kind of wildlife or whatever, and hopefully talk about different kinds of cryptids like Bigfoot, Loch Ness stuff, whatever you want to talk about. And but I only have 26 subscribers on there, and I think you have to have 50 before you can do a live stream. So I was like, well, crap, I can't do it on here. So I had to just come back to my main channel because I was already setting everything up, and I was like, oh crap, I can't do one on that channel. But I thought, well, I'll get on here and tell people, and maybe some people actually go on there and subscribe to it, to where maybe at some point I can do live streams on it, but either way, this hopefully this helps my regular channel out. If it helps my regular channel, I'll just keep doing them on here probably. But I was trying to break it down, so because like I said, most of the content on here is more of a comedy kind of content. I do have wildlife stuff, but I put a comedic spin on it. I use my kind of English. I call it my David Attenborough voice, where he's kind of British and he's like, "Where we are, deep in the forest, deep in the jungle, whatever, and we got this creature, and this creature's this or whatever." And I do that, and I like doing it. I think I find it funny, and it makes me laugh. So that's half the battle, I guess. If I enjoy it and want to do it, but I'm hoping other people would like it too. But like I said, when you're doing wildlife stuff, they don't really know, okay, you're doing wildlife stuff. Or are you doing wildlife stuff or are you doing comedy stuff? Which one is it, So they don't really know where to put you. So when they don't, you don't get promoted because they don't really know where to put you, So that's one of the things with YouTube or Google or whatever you want to call it. But is you got to be kind of consistent to be doing this kind of the same thing, which I always hated that because I want to be able to do what I want to do, what I feel like doing, or what I don't want to be stuck in a rut doing the same thing, But that's what their algorithm likes, where they can put you in a certain category or whatever. And so that's the reason I thought, well, I'm gonna try more of the wildlife stuff because I've always been interested in the cryptid stuff. And I thought, well, I'll do more of a channel about that kind of stuff. And and then just do the other, try to say more of a comedy type stuff on this channel. But but if you want to go to my other channel, it's called Critters, like a critter, and Cryptids, CRY crypt CRYPTIDS. I think is how you spell it. It's supposed to be short for cryptozoology, and which is a study of creatures that have not technically been discovered. Uh, which there's been some creatures. I forgot what they're, selenicanth or something like that, some kind of a big fish or whatever we thought was extinct, and people would see it, supposedly, or whatever, and they're like, oh, so it was kind of put in the cryptozoology thing where people thought they had seen it or whatever, catch it or whatever, but then they finally they actually caught some of them back 50 years, 100 years ago, whatever it was, and they're like, oh, this thing is real, it's still alive, and same thing with like I think the giant squid, and people were like, and so, but now it's real, people actually find it, whatever, and that may be what happens with Bigfoot or something too. It may be eventually just there's a body produced, and you're like, okay, we have the freaking body here, or we captured one, so it's real. It's undisputable anymore. So all the people that think, no, there's no way that could ever be or whatever, you might be proven wrong. But of course, things 50 years ago was a lot different. We have, that's what I think. We have so much technology now. Everybody carries a camera around with their cell phone, and it's generally pretty good quality. Most cameras now. It ain't like a camera from 10 years ago. Even a 10-year-old cell phone camera was pretty crappy. And now some of the things are, man, they can zoom in and take great pictures. But it's also, we have trail cams. And the things, they're night vision. They're very clear. There's so much stuff that's out there now that should be able to catch some really good pictures, but there's really has not been. Actually, still the best one is from 1967 or whatever, the Patterson-Gimlin film. It's still probably the best one out there, and that was filmed on 8mm film or something, whatever it was. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff out there. I think, of course, I think there's more people actually, looking for them out there. But there, like I said, there's still a lot of people that see sightings, and I swear, this thing was 8 foot tall and stunk to high heaven and walking on 2 feet, and it wasn't no freaking bear. Most people, it's especially somebody that's been out in the woods very much or been hunting or whatever, or just even just looked at pictures or videos of a bear, like it's a big difference between seeing a bear. Now it depends on like if it's dusk or early morning and it's foggy or whatever, and so you may be like, okay, maybe not bills, but a bear has a snout, kind of like a dog or whatever, Bigfoot doesn't, and there's a big difference in the way a bear walks and the way supposedly a human. A Bigfoot supposedly walks more like a human, so it's a big difference in the way a human walks and the way a bear waddles, basically. I've seen him walk, and I've seen a video where one was walking all the way across somebody's yard on two feet, but it was very strange looking the way it was walking. Of course, a bear doesn't have a butt, and whereas that's what humans, humanoid people or whatever, have butts. And the gluteus maximus, or whatever you want to call it, the butt muscles or whatever, and so something that walks upright generally has that, and like a bear is just kind of just flat, and it's a big difference seeing a bear walking on 2 feet and what I've seen of supposedly Bigfoot or whatever, trying to walk or whatever. But some stuff is most of them are so blurry and stuff, you can't tell really. It's very crappy, That's That's what always gets me about it. With all the technology and stuff we got out there, for quite a few years now, you would think there would be some pretty decent photos of something, uh, even if there is just a few of them left, you would think there would still be something caught every once in a while over the past, say, 5 or 10 years. I don't know when trail. I mean, decent trail cam. I mean, I think they get better and better. Most of all this technology gets better and better every year. So, as far as what you have on you or what you put out in the woods or whatever, I mean, I've watched some channels where they set up trail cameras at night or whatever and film like animals. They'll put some food out there and all these animals, deer, whatever, and you can plainly see what they are. You can say, oh, okay, that's a raccoon, that's a possum, that's a deer, that's a coyote, that's a fox, whatever. You're like, okay, that's what that is, or that's a bear, so something come walking in on 2 feet that was, really hairy and was like 8 foot tall, you'd be like, okay, this is something different here. And I caught it on my camera. That's whatever megapixels it is. And you got a great picture or a great video of it or whatever, And there's been some stuff caught on them before, which you kind of like, yeah, that is kind of weird looking, but people are like, well, that's just a bear that's got the mange, or it's a whatever, and yeah, okay, I guess it could be a really sickly bear. That's there's one, I think it was like in somewhere in the Northeast, I think, and it was like under an apple tree or something, and they got something like that. And supposedly was, and it's a weird looking photo, but I mean, it really doesn't look like a bear, but if it is a bear, it's a very straggly looking bear, the way it's the pictures of it, the way it's bent over and stuff, it looks very strange, but so of course a lot of people think, oh, it's a juvenile Bigfoot, I think is what they think it is, but and it looks more monkey-like, kind of the way to me, it looks kind of like more monkeyish like, but I doubt, unless there's a group of wild monkeys that have escaped from a zoo or whatever, which down in Florida, I believe there has been, but, like maybe orangutans and stuff like that from hurricanes, I believe, and stuff. There was actually some island I read that I believe they used to do some kind of test on animals, and they believe some of them got like a hurricane or something got loose and made their way to Florida, and sometimes you may be seeing something like that. But I mean, an orangutan may only stand 4.5 foot tall or whatever, I think, and they're super strong, but you can pretty much tell that, okay, that's an orangutan. But so yeah, well, I don't know if anybody's back in here or not. It looks like I show a couple of people in here, but nobody's talking anymore. So I'm probably going to get off here because I've been on here for an hour and a half. Like I said, didn't nobody get on here for the first 10-15 minutes, but I'm about to run out of stuff to say unless somebody wants to say something, and I can just talk about it. But I'm going to give it about another minute and a half. That'll be an hour and a half I've been on here. And if somebody don't come up with something in the next minute and a half, then I'll probably be signing off of here. But for anybody that have been watching or whatever, I'm glad y'all. I got 4 thumbs up, 4 likes, so that's good. I may have 10. I may have 10 dislikes. I don't get to see those, but I think I can. I can look them up, I believe. But good, 4 thumbs up is pretty good. I mean, because I've only had about 4 or 5 people in there at any one time, so that's pretty good. But if you think about it, give it a thumbs up, and or if you watch this video, because it'll be posted under my live stuff, and you may want to watch it later or whatever. If you do, give it a thumbs up and comment on it at the end, and maybe I'll do another one of these, and I'll try to read the comments, and if y'all come up with like your ideas about what y'all think a Bigfoot, Sasquatch is, or what you don't think it is, or whatever, you know, and I may try to read the comments and talk about it, maybe in another live stream or whatever. I'll at least comment back to you. If you leave a comment, I'll comment back to you, and tell you what I think or whatever, maybe, you know, but yeah. So yeah, I've been on here an hour and a half, so I guess I'm gonna sign off. If anybody's left, I know there's shows 2 people still watching, but now it's back to 3 people. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off here. I've been on here an hour and a half, and I'm tired of talking, and nobody's talking back. So I'll give a few more seconds since somebody else just walked in here, but to say something. But I've been discussing the Bigfoot, Sasquatch stuff, whatever. Talking about other stuff too. But so if you're somebody new that's just come in here, yeah, just leave a comment real quick, because otherwise I'm fixing to sign off. And see you in another video probably. I may start doing more of these lives. I kind of like doing the lives, but it's a lot less. It's a lot less to edit and stuff. You know, don't really have to edit nothing. You just sit there and yak. You know, and this subject matter, the subject matter of cryptids or whatever, is always interested me. Or any type of animal stuff. You want to talk about any kind of animal stuff or comedy stuff or whatever you want to talk about. You know. Because most of my stuff is comedy stuff, but I ain't no comedian, but I just like to make funny stuff, whatever. But anyway, well, nobody has said nothing, so I guess I'm going to sign off from here. Appreciate everybody that showed up and talked or whatever. That's been great. And I hope I've enlightened your life with my discussion. Anyway, I'll try to see you. Another one, I may try to do one at least maybe every 2 weeks, a live. But I try to put other video. I try to do one, at least a video once a week of something. But anyway, that's about it. I guess I'm gonna sign off for now. Nobody's talking. That fourth person is coming here, but they better say something, because I'm signing off, man. I'm out of here in like 10 seconds if you don't talk. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, like I said, appreciate y'all stepping in or whatever, and I'm trying to figure out how to turn this thing off now. How do I end the stream? I don't know if you just push the X or what. Anyway, we'll see you next time. You can still leave a comment down below or whatever if you come in and whatever, and I'll try to comment off stream if you leave something in the comments or whatever. But appreciate y'all stopping in and listening to me yak. Talk to you later. Bye. Let's see if that works. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes.